Hey everybody, it is John Lone King. It is Friday, the 6th of March, first Friday of the month, which is always Jobs Friday. A lot of news to go over today. I'm going to be very direct and succinct with you today on kind of what's going on because the market, it is crazy. So what we're dealing with is news yesterday telling you that mortgage rates are the lowest that they've been in a couple of years because that information is published from news that was published from reports provided by mortgage companies last Friday and Monday. So every week, mortgage companies provide information to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and they provide it on Friday and Monday. Last Friday was a great day. It was before the Iran conflict started, and last Friday, interest rates dropped. It was the last day of the month. We had a very, very strong interest rate day. The markets were good. We were heading into March, and everything was great. And then Saturday comes and the conflict in Iran starts. And normally, and it's going to sound horrible the way I say it, but it's just factual. Normally, war is good for interest rates. Normally, political unrest and conflict is good for interest rates. Why? Because it's called a flight to safety. I'm not talking about literal safety. I'm talking about the safety of your investments. And so if there is political conflict and war, people are normally pulling money out of the stock market because they're afraid of what's going to happen, and they put it into safe investments, which is the bond market. Mortgages are a bond. When they put money in there, the price goes up, the yield goes down. That is a long way of saying interest rates should drop. They're not. This war, this conflict is different. This is not expected to be drawn out and long lasting, but it also has major implications to the economy. It's got major implications to oil and what oil prices are doing, which is inflationary, because if oil prices shoot way up, that's inflation. And inflation is bad for mortgages. And so inflation was really high in 2022, 2023, 2024. That's what caused mortgage rates to go from 3% to 8% because of inflation. And this conflict, this war, whatever you want to call it, is already having major implications to gas prices, which is causing potential concerns for future inflation, and that's causing mortgage rates to go up. So that's part of it, is we're dealing with that. The other thing that we're dealing with is today we got a jobs report. Now, the jobs report today said that job creation fell. We lost jobs in the month of February, which has been unheard of, other than during COVID when we lost a lot of jobs. And if you remember back last year, we as a nation were growing prior to the last summer. We were growing our jobs at a rate of 150 to 250,000 jobs a month. And then last summer, that number kind of came down, and it started pushing interest rates down, saying, hey, we might have a problem with unemployment because we're not creating as many jobs. Then the Federal Reserve stepped in last summer and said, no, don't worry. Everything is okay. We don't expect job creation. We expect jobs to be flat. We expect jobs to be from 0 to 50,000 jobs created a month. That's normal. So what they basically did is reset expectations. It's like you have a kid and you tell the kid, hey, I want you to get at least a 3.0 at school. And the kid comes back with a C minus, but the teacher calls and says, hey, don't worry. The class is really, really hard. Nobody got an A. Nobody got a B. The best you can get is a C in my class anyway. And so that C minus is pretty good. Well, then you change your thinking. You don't necessarily blame your kid. Now, maybe you do, but you'd say, well, okay, the teacher told me that a C is really the best that they give and nobody gets A's or B's. So I can't get mad at my kid for getting a C because the C is the best you can get in that class. That's what the economy did. That's what the markets did when the Federal Reserve said, look, we're not going to grow it at 150 to 250,000 jobs a month. We're going to grow at 0 to 50,000. Be happy with that. That's normal. Okay, but we lost almost 100,000 jobs in February. That should have caused interest rates to drop. But the unemployment rate only went up a little bit. Okay, now there's a lot of factors, and that has to do with I can't remember the term now, but basically the number of people wanting to work. So they can take you off of the list. Even though we lost jobs, we also lost people wanting to work. Well, the government kind of plays with those numbers, and they're basically skewing the numbers. And I'm not saying they're skewing them on purpose. This is how they've always done it. But that's causing interest rates to not drop as much as they should. So we're actually higher in interest rates today than we were last Friday. Yet if you historically think about it, you should expect rates to be lower because we're in a military conflict and we've lost jobs in the economy is shrinking, essentially is what that's pointing towards. And you saw in the news yesterday that we have the lowest interest rates we've had in a couple of years. But as I said in the beginning, that news that comes out from Freddie Mac's weekly market survey is published on Thursday. They send the survey to lenders on Friday of the week before. So today, they are sending the survey to lenders saying, hey, tell us today or by Monday where rates are. They get that information by Tuesday. They put it together and send it out to the news media on Wednesday, and the news is allowed to publish it on Thursday. So the information you find, and it's funny, if you really pay attention, it's only on Thursdays that the news comes out about how great or how horrible interest rates are. It's already 3-day-old data. And so that's the conflict or the challenge right now that we're dealing with. And so we're in a highly, highly volatile market. This is creating challenges for people who are looking to buy homes. It's creating challenges for people who are looking to refinance their homes. And in a roundabout way, it's creating more challenges for people who are looking to sell their home. So we are now a month into the spring selling season. So I call it the spring selling season, which is starts on Super Bowl Sunday. Okay, so Super Bowl Sunday was a month ago in 2 days. And we've seen a lot more activity. I've seen a lot of people coming out. Obviously, we're doing the Dream for All program, so I have a huge number of people that want that. By the way, if you're looking at Dream for All, you need to get your application in now. So you can go to the same QR code up here and start the process, but you have to get your application in now. We only have 10 days left to get you all the way through the process and get you registered. And I do have a webinar tomorrow and on tomorrow at 10 a.m. and on Wednesday at 7 p.m. If you have questions, that's the best way to get your answers very quickly. If you want more information about Dream for All, go here. So scan here or go to this QR code, whatever, those two. If you want more information about the Dream for All program, that's all I'm going to say about Dream for All right now. But what I'm telling you is if you are looking to buy a home, whether it's now or down the road, part of your buying decision is affordability and budgeting. And rates are good. We're in the high 5s to low 6s. But the news will tell you they're great and they're up some. And so it's creating a lot of volatility and a lot of uncertainty about, gosh, should I buy a home? It's kind of easier to buy a home when you know rates are at 6.5 than it is to say, okay, fine, they fell to 5.75. I'm going to buy now. Oh, wait, no, they're up to 6.25 now. I'm not going to buy anymore. It's quite an emotional roller coaster. And that's creating a lot of turmoil for sellers right now because sellers are seeing a lot of activity. They're seeing buyers walking through their open houses, and yet the buyers aren't writing offers. Why? Because rates are so volatile that the buyer's afraid to pull the trigger. As a buyer, you have to have a tolerance, and ideally we're not shopping at the absolute maximum of your budget. But you can't control when the right house comes along relative to where interest rates are. So as long as you're within a tolerance, don't shop right at your maximum. You shop at your maximum, and now you're going to be in trouble if interest rates shift just a little bit. And be careful about waiting until things get better. Because I've seen so many people do it over the last week, and they saw rates come up on Monday, and they're like, okay, I'm going to wait until later this week when things get better, and the jobs report's on Friday. And the jobs report was exactly what we hoped it would be to make rates better, but it didn't work. Rates aren't better this morning than they were yesterday. And so there's a lot of volatility and there's a lot of competing influences on interest rates that is causing the market to not react the way we would hope or expect it to react. If you're looking to refinance, that's even harder because you're going to say, well, I don't have a deadline. I can wait as long as I want to wait. That's fine, but you're wasting money every single month that you stay at your current interest rate. And so it's really hard to figure out how to time the market. That is one of the most difficult things to do, and it truly is impossible. Even people in my industry on Facebook groups, and they're like, hey, should we lock today or should we not? And the smartest ones of us are like, we don't have a crystal ball. Like nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knew last Friday, some people maybe, that the conflict in Iran was going to start within the next 12 hours. And so it is a significant unexpected activities that are causing results that you didn't plan for. We are dealing with that a lot right now, and it's the most important thing I can tell you is get a guide that you can trust, and I'm interviewing to be that guide. So if you have questions about any of this, if you're unsure what you should do, let's set up a time to sit down and talk. You can scan this QR code up here. You can get a lot of information from my website, whether you're looking to purchase or refinance, you want down payment assistance or not. I'm here to serve you. and I look forward to taking great care of you. So I hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful weekend. Again, if you're looking at Dream for All, you need to register for my webinar tomorrow. It is going to be at 10 a.m. It really is your last opportunity to ask questions and still have time to get started from scratch because we are busy with a lot of people who want to get pre-approved, and I want to help make sure that we're taking great care of everybody and that we get you into the portal by the deadline of 5 p.m. Monday the 16th. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye-bye.